What's up, everybody? I'm Tam. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe because my channel is difficult to find. And if you lose it, you will probably never find it again. So today we're going to focus on C-PTSD and anxiety because I think the driving force behind CPTSD, pure CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is connected with borderline personality disorder. They are closely aligned with each other. So I kind of think of it as a derivative of a disorder. So people with CPTSD, they are often fighters. They go into rages. I think those are the two things that are the top issues with CPTSD. Some of that can be driven by fear of abandonment, like what BPDs experience, but they seem to be able to control that element better. So, what is anxiety? Anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease. It's defined as typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. So, they can feel surges of anxiety. It is a desire to do something, typically accompanied by unease. And this to me is CPTSD in a nutshell. That's what's driving a lot of things about folks that are burdened with this disorder. Let's talk about rage because CPTSDs can go into rages. They can get very angry. They can become fighters. Rage is uncontrollable anger. They can go into a fit of rage. It's ill-tempered, hot-tempered. So on one hand, their instinct to fight can be a great thing because they can make changes in society. They can fight for a good cause. They can fight for the underdog and protect them and take care of people and stand up for things that are wrong. And they can do a phenomenal job with that. But the other side of the raging is the people, the innocent people who are the recipients of such rages. And that is why I want to implore and beg people with this CPTSD to work on the raging because a lot of damage is done with the raging. And this is not to be hurtful. I know people get very defensive. I do. Everyone does. Anytime anybody points something out that's a negative, people get on the defensive and they want to defend themselves. So that is not that is not what I am trying to do. I am hoping that you can find a soft place in which to open up and really pay attention to this issue for the sake of yourself, your own inner body issues that you probably have as a result of it, and also because it alienates the people that you love, it alienates the people that you want to be close to. So to me, it is 100% worth it to focus on your rage and work on quieting it down, which means that you got to work on quieting the anxiety down, which means you might need a little bit of medication to help to quiet that. Up some YouTube videos with some techniques, go to some counseling or some therapy, and don't overwhelm yourself. This can just be tiny baby steps. It doesn't mean that you need to look up stuff every single day. Just do a little tiny something. I believe in baby steps with this stuff. And you got to admit when you've done something wrong. CPTSD goes into a space where they have raged somebody, they have cussed somebody out, they have had a tantrum on somebody, and they won't admit fault. They will point at the other person, and yet the other person has gotten a beat down for leaving a crumb on the table. And I'm exaggerating, but I'm not exaggerating. It usually the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Case in point, there was a there's a guy that I know, and there was a service that needed to be done. And this was kind of a unique, difficult situation. Someone was found who could, this person was difficult to secure, but they came out and needed they really didn't even need his help. They just needed him to move out of the way, but they needed to step into his territory a little bit in order to fix the issue that was happening. And so they had a creative way to do it, but they actually did need a little tiny bit of his help. And for some reason, it set him off into a complete tantrum, rage, couldn't be calmed down, went off on the person about how they were trying to get the job done. But if they got the job done, then they could put in the ticket and say, this was done. Now let's move on to the next step. Well, the person was like, okay, well, I can't do anything with this person, so I'm out of here. This was a key person that was difficult to get. So it slowed down the process. I'm talking for months. This person complained every day about their situation after this, that why isn't this being done? Why isn't this being fixed? Why isn't this problem being resolved? Not understanding that you were part of the setback. You were part of the setback, and it wasn't something that would hurt anyone or hurt anything. The person just needed to get their step done so that we could move on to the next step. But they totally destroyed that. But after that, everybody also had to keep taking a beating because this situation wasn't being taken care of. And it's like, but you were part of the problem. And, nobody argued with him. They just, So that's where the lack of taking ownership, the rage got in the way of resolving the issue. And they're still raging and complaining. And you see what I'm saying? So that's where complex PTSD, we need you to be able to take a look at what you're doing and also calm down a little bit. Bring that down a few notches, and at least, it's just like with Alcohol Anonymous. You can't, what do those people do first? They go into denial. Denial is I hate dealing with denial because it is a very difficult defense mechanism where people are just in a total blind spot. So then you can't move, right? So if somebody is driven by anxiety, you're going to see impatience, yearning, apprehensiveness, concern, worry. So situations are going to trigger that, as we see in the example that I gave you. And anxiety is also defined as a mental condition characterized by excessive apprehensiveness about real or perceived threats, typically leading to avoidance behaviors and often to physical symptoms in the body. And so this, to me, that's CPTSD in a nutshell. So if we want to solve CPTSD, we got to work on the anxiety. We got to work on the triggers that are sending the person into the rages, because the rages hurt personal relationships. People with CPTSD can do a phenomenal job in some areas, but when it comes to close relationships, family members, that's where, especially family members or husband or wife, those are the people who are going to get the biggest brunt of the disorder. And those people deserve protecting. They do not deserve the attacks and the screaming and the yelling and the rages and the breaking of things and the just out of control yelling, and I'm targeting you and I'm taking all my anxiety out on you for every little thing. And the person really hasn't done anything. They really haven't done anything. I personally had a situation where I had someone raging at me years ago because of a paint color. I put a beige color and they felt like it needed to be a little bit more maybe have a hint of an orangey. I don't know. But it was all a derivative of beige, white. This person had a tantrum until 2 or 3 in the morning. And by the way, these were just samples. So this was 3 or 4 samples on the wall, but they weren't the right match. The paint hadn't gone on yet. The whole buckets had not been purchased. So you're having a rage about one little dot on the wall that these are not the right color. That doesn't make any sense. And so then the next day, the person calmed down and they decided to take a nicer, quieter approach. Hey, let's go to the paint store and I'll help you pick out the colors. And guess what? We got the color right. The person was able to calm themselves down after a long night. And so those are the kind of things where you're getting a beating for something that is, you're doing a lot of damage to innocent people. And that is hurtful for you to hear, but sometimes you have to hear the truth. And I'm begging you, begging you, begging you, if you have C-PTSD, please work on the anxiety, work on the raging, because what happens is your body also takes a beating. One more thing. There's a person that I know that has C-PTSD and they work with lots of children and they bought all kinds of squeeze balls for the kids and little things they can do to work on their anxiety. And the person puts on headphones when he's feeling overstimulated or overwhelmed. And he's like, look at these places where the kids have, they're picking on the wires of their little headphones and different things like that. And so he tries to get ahead of his own anxiety by giving the kids things that they can touch and, squish Play-Doh. As an adult can also get things that help you to reduce your stress, because a lot of times, including me, we try to just do this on our own. We try to convince ourselves with words that I'm going to control my anxiety. Help yourself to do it. We all need to help ourselves to do it. If that means buying yourself stress balls and squishy things, and sometimes I like to play with rubber bands and keep them in my pockets and stretch them and do all of that stuff. Put some things in place, some simple, fun things like that to help you. You don't have to try to find the just incredible internal strength. You gotta, because to me, it's energy floating around that needs to be channeled somewhere, whether it's a project, do it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm wishing you all the best. It's not fair that you have this issue, that you dealt with some trauma. It's not fair. I know it's not fair, but now we got to do something about it so that you can have a more relaxed and peaceful life, because guess what? You deserve it. So if you are having some issues with love or with narcissists, check out my books, Flip the Script on Love and The Workplace of Narcissists. It is my personal perspective and assistance. And I think it will be fun for you to actually read my book and just kind of see how I think. So I'll put the link below. And I'll see you amazing, wonderful fighters for the underdogs on my next video. Bye.